comes in later on tomorrow to give us some sunshine by midday.
On the move. Wherever news happens, Sky I-4 is there.
Boone will return next week at its regular time. Now find out if Johnny Carson's Hollywood. Watch Johnny Carson's Greatest Practical.
Hi, I'm Johnny Carson. This is not my usual working position at NBC. I'm standing next to the security gate at the National Broadcasting Company in Burbank, California. Now, everyone who enters and leaves NBC is cleared by the guards who are stationed right here. Now, I want you to take a look at this sign. Stop. Be prepared to open vehicle, including trunk, for inspection. Now, I have been driving through this very gate for the past 11 years, and I've never seen anyone's car stopped, much less the trunk being searched. So, I got to wondering what would happen if a well-known person's car was stopped and the trunk was actually searched. And the trunk contained NBC typewriters, stationery, paper towels, pencils, toilet paper, and enough supplies to run a small business. And the owner of the car didn't know it. That's what this program is all about, practical jokes. You're going to see some of the greatest practical jokes that have ever been played, and some new ones of our very own invention. We'll be showing you, for example, what happened some years ago in Yellowstone National Park when two disgruntled summertime student employees managed to upset the park rangers and all the visitors to Old Faithful. We've also recreated some of the practical jokes played in the theater.
A better brother.
You'll see why the gorilla exhibit at a well-known zoo became such a big hit. Later on, Carl Reiner and Tim Conway will be with us to explain some of the classic practical jokes. Now, what do you think Joan Rivers' reaction will be when she believes she is actually talking with Margaret Thatcher, Great Britain's Prime Minister? And Mrs. Thatcher's asking why Joan has been so mean to the royal family. And you'll also see what was pulled on me. We'll be back in a moment to watch Ed McMahon's predicament as the Burbank police ask him to open his trunk for inspection.
Isn't this kind of a cheap way to do the opening titles?
They spent all their money on the jokes.
Yeah, but with all the
Just
money...
for the cards, Harry. And that one.
Doesn't focus.
Who cares?
Ayo. This looks crooked.
It's good enough.
Can we talk?
Yeah.
Portions of tonight's show are being brought to you by the home computer from Texas Instruments. It can give your kids a head start that could last a lifetime.
For the first time in his life, he's struggling, having a hard time in math. He needs help. He can get that help with the home computer from Texas Instruments. It has more educational cartridges than any other computer. They challenge, encourage, make learning fun. The home computer from Texas Instruments. It can give your child a head start in school that could last a lifetime.
You're my tab, you're the cola for me. Got my regular tab, got my caffeine free. You're my tab, you're the taste for me. You're beautiful as a cola can be. So you know what I think.
Beautiful.
You're my perfect soft drink.
Caffeine free.
You're not my diet anything. You're my tab. You're not my diet anything. You're my tab.
Now you're about to see Ed McMahon leaving NBC after taping The Tonight Show. And it's not one of his better departures. Earlier in the afternoon, with the cooperation of Ed's driver, Patrick Warwick, who was sworn to secrecy, we loaded the trunk of Ed's car with an endless variety of supplies from NBC. We hired two actors to portray Burbank policemen. We hid our cameras in two adjoining vans at the security gate. And several cars ahead of Ed's were also stopped and searched to make sure the entire operation seemed legitimate. Here's what happened.
How are you tonight?
Good evening. You want to say? I want to have a routine look in your trunk. Just
okay.
routine.
This is Tommy Newsom?
Yeah.
Big fan of yours.
Oh.
Certainly take a nice ribbing from Mr. Carson.
Yeah, well, it keeps you off the street.
I'll bet.
Now this, of course, is Tommy Newsom of The Tonight Show. Tommy's not in on the joke, and he's going through what he probably thinks is a routine inspection.
We expected to find some instruments. Yeah. This is all your personal property. We won't keep you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Newsom.
Get up.
Sorry for your inconvenience. Have a nice weekend now.
Okay. Drive safely.
Ed is now 2 cars away.
Evening.
Good evening. Just a routine trunk inspection. Would you mind terribly opening your trunk?
Now, this is
Thank
Peter
you.
LaSalle, the producer of The Tonight Show. Peter's in on the joke. He's purposely in front of Ed's car, so Ed would see someone he knew being inspected.
Thank you, sir. Okay.
Well, that was simple enough.
Thank you.
You have a nice weekend now.
Please drive safe. Good night.
And now, here comes Ed's limo.
Evening.
Good evening. Who are you driving tonight?
Mr. Ed McMahon.
Good evening, sir. This is just routine, mind you, but would you mind popping your trunk? Thank you. We won't keep you
Norman?
long.
I'll see you just a minute. What of this?
Mr. McMahon, sir, we seem to have a small problem back here. Would you mind stepping out for a moment?
Evening, Miss McMahon.
Good evening.
Do you have a requisition pass for all this stuff?
What the hell is this, Patrick?
Don't look at me. I thought it belonged to you.
There's a typewriter here. Is this NBC stationery, sir?
Yeah, sure is.
I don't know. I don't understand this.
This is now your. Is this your? This
No.
is your automobile?
My automobile, yes. There's bathroom tissue here, some paper towels, cups.
You know,
Shut up. Do you know anything about this, Patrick?
no.
Could you perhaps loan your car out to someone today? He's had the car all day. He dropped me off.
Do you? Are
this afternoon.
you the only two that have access to the
Yes.
automobile? And this is. These are. Well, obviously now.
There's
you're pushing
another
one.
typewriter. There's a payphone in here. I have no idea how it got here. Don't know anything about it. An adding machine, some more stationaries, several pencils, a telephone. It's not mine. Do you know anything about it, Patrick? Huh?
And you're the only two that have
Well,
access
what are you
to
going
the
to tell
car.
him?
Do you know anything about this?
I know nothing about it.
Nothing at all? Lieutenant?
Yeah, what's the problem?
We seem to be having some problem with
What?
all kinds of paraphernalia from NBC.
Lieutenant Hollingsworth, what's the problem?
We don't know.
He doesn't have a pass. We asked him about it. He has no requisition pass. He has no idea how this stuff he says. He doesn't know how it got in here.
Is this your equipment?
No.
Looks like NBC equipment. We have
It is. Well, you can see this
Yes.
NBC stationery.
Stationery
NBC
here.
stationery. We got toilet paper.
We even have a
Paper
payphone.
towels.
Got a
cups.
telephone, typewriters. This is incredible.
What is going on?
Should we read him his rights?
I don't know how long this has been going on. We've got a...
Mr. McMahon, you have the right to remain silent. Everything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided for you in a court of law.
have guessed.
Do you understand the rights that I've just read to you?
Yes, I do.
And welcome to our practical joke special. You are now on it.
Oh, terrific. That's what, holy God. And I'm looking at him, he's not bailing me out. He's saying, I know nothing about it.
Of course he doesn't.
Well, it's nice. It's
Yes.
wonderful. I'm happy to be on.
You're on.
Oh.
Now,
Now, what do I do with all this stuff?
It's all yours.
Did you see the look?
the look on your face when you go, what the hell is this? Patrick says, I don't know anything about it.
Look, I said, Patrick, will you bail me out? He said, I know nothing about it. I well, who had the car?
Well, when you looked at me, you didn't...
Not right away. It took me a minute before I said, you know, God, he looks like John.
Lieutenant Hollingsworth, you went, God, he looks like Carson.
I love this. That's a payphone.
This is the anatomy of a practical joke.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, we need another little segment for the program, and you're in.
Okay.
Okay, go on.
All right.
Victoria knew about it.
Oh, get in.
She knew about it. Our next practical joke actually took place here in Yellowstone National Park some years ago. 2 students from the East Coast got a part-time job here. And to be quite frank, they were pretty inept. And they were reminded of that fact all summer long by a veteran park ranger who kept commenting on their great lack of knowledge of the outdoors and their ineptness. So on the final day of their job, they got even. Now, what you're about to see actually happen, we've recreated it. The only person in on the gag is the park ranger himself. Watch the visitors as they listen to the park ranger explain the great natural phenomenon of the greatest geyser of all, Old Faithful.
Yellowstone National Park. You're here in the world's first national park. First of all, if you don't know it, here in Yellowstone, we have the largest concentration of geothermal features and geysers in the world. And of course, the most important or most famous of these natural wonders is Old Faithful, right behind me. And sometime in the next few minutes, we're gonna see an eruption here. Right now,
and now, here come our students.
Cracks in the earth that are filling up with groundwater.
Now, do you see what they're carrying? They have a long metal rod and a large wheel that fits on top.
Close to the surface of the earth here. And eventually the water closest to that hot rock turns to steam and starts expanding upward, exiting upward via convection. And very simply, we have an eruption then. And what you'll see when this erupts is about 5,000 to 7,000 gallons of water.
Now, their first problem is to make sure that no one notices them putting the metal rod in place with a wheel on top.
Water boils here at 199 degrees. From this
Now, timing is very important for this joke. He has to wait until the exact moment Old Faithful erupts.
And this is a purely natural function.
Let her rip, Charlie!
What's they turning it on for? I don't believe that.
You said it was natural. Somebody's turning it on.
Now, can you imagine all those people going home and telling their friends and relatives that for all these years, Old Faithful is operated by mechanical means? Oh, the fresh air here in the park is really something. More air. Now for our next practical joke. We went to the world-famous San Diego Zoo to recreate for you a famous practical joke that was played many years ago. It didn't happen here. It actually happened at a small zoo in the Midwest, where the bears were the main attraction and drew the most visitors. The bear keeper was somewhat a braggart, and his co-workers got tired of hearing him brag about his animals, but the gorilla keeper had a plan to get back at him. One day, the gorilla started attracting a lot of attention from the visitors. The crowds got bigger and bigger. The gorilla that day was the biggest attraction at the zoo, and the gorilla keeper had the last laugh. Our next story is a recreation of a practical joke that happened at a Hollywood party some years ago. It took place at a very beautiful home. Everyone was gathered around the pool having a good time, but something very strange was going on. I'll be right back to show you what we did to Joan Rivers.
Who makes the best-built American cars? Based on National Highway Traffic Safety recall data over the last 2 years, Chrysler does. Because Chrysler had the lowest percent of recalls. And only Chrysler has the confidence to back the cars it builds for 5 years or 50,000 miles, with protection on the engine, powertrain, and against outer body rust-through. Based on recalls alone, Chrysler makes the best-built American cars, And with 550 protection, they're not only the best built, they're the best backed.
From Seiko Technology, the world's first TV watch. From the same advanced technology, a new world of design, refined to the last rivet. Opulent, handsome, his statement of style. Delicate, sinuous, beautiful designs for a woman's wrist. Who but Seiko could create elegance to express the world's most exciting quartz technology? Seiko watches and clocks at your authorized dealer.
I've photographed a lot of interesting people over the years. But how good a picture is can depend on how good the paper is it's printed on. That's why the photographers I know use Kodak paper. Not just for the pictures we earn our living with, but for personal pictures like these. But remember, what a picture says on the back says a lot about how good it looks on the front.
Kodak paper. The only way to be sure you get it is to ask for it at a retailer displaying this new sign.
Up till now, the practical jokes you've seen on this program are rather basic, elementary practical jokes and not too complicated to pull off. What you're going to see next is a very involved, complicated practical joke which took weeks in preparation and execution. It involved probably 60 to 75 people, including actors, producers, technicians, cameramen, all kinds of personnel. Now, first of all, we needed the victim. The victim of this practical joke is Joan Rivers. The reason, well, I suppose you could call it British retribution. Those of you who have seen Joan Rivers perform realize that she does some rather unusual material about the royal family of Great Britain.
How many kids you got, Princess Anne? Ooh, a horse. As a matter of fact, the Queen of England is one of my best friends. Is she here? Look for a woman wearing a house dress and a crown. I met the Queen of England. She, you know, they say, Joan, the Queen of England. You go, how do you do? She goes, fong, fong. I said, what did she say? Fong, 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 fong. I said, this one's putting me on. Fong, 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 fong. So it was a joke. I went, well, fong, 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 fong. And she invited me for the weekend. And I went, oh, you think they're good looking? Oh, a bunch of dogs. Oh, grow up. A bunch of, go out in the street, call their names. Queenie, Prince, and Duke. See what shows up.
You got to wondering, what would happen if Joan Rivers happened to come face to face and had a confrontation with the Prime Minister of England, Margaret Thatcher, who, after a few social amenities, would start to ask Miss Rivers about her material regarding the royal family. Now, how do we bring that about? Well, first we had to swear about 50 to 60 people to secrecy, which we did. Then I had to lie to Joan Rivers. Now, Joan's a very good friend of mine, and I felt guilty for about 10 seconds because I realized how funny this could be. So I called Joan, and we've known each other for 17 years. And I said, Joan, would you mind coming to a small dinner for me up in Las Vegas? It's very small. You won't have to perform. It'll take 2 hours of your time. We'll fly you up in a private jet, and you'll be back in 2 hours. We arranged for Joan to be brought to this VIP lounge at the Los Angeles airport. However, it didn't look like this on that particular day, and we had to redecorate the room. We had walls built to conceal 4 hidden cameras. We had a control room, we had lighting, we had microphones. We wanted to make it appear perfectly normal. Okay, now keep in mind that Joan agreed to come here. We invited some friends to come with her to make it look perfectly legitimate. And of course, Joan's husband, Edgar Rosenberg, who also did not know what was going to take place. We enlisted the aid of a well-known British actress, Janet Brown, who has portrayed Margaret Thatcher on a number of occasions. We flew her from London to Los Angeles and spent a week preparing her for this practical joke. Also, we enlisted the aid of a highly respected newscaster here in California, John Schubeck, to give the impression that he had just conducted an interview with Margaret Thatcher. Miss Thatcher, by the way, said she was on her way to the ranch in Santa Barbara to meet with President Reagan. By a stroke of good fortune, that particular weekend, President Reagan happened to be at the ranch. You follow this so far? Joan Rivers is now coming to the TWA lounge. She thinks she's flying to Las Vegas for a private dinner in my honor, and all of a sudden, she is in a circumstance, and that is the key element to any complicated practical joke. The victim must not have time to analyze what is going on. The confrontation is there, Joan is there, and she is introduced to Margaret Thatcher, who, after a few pleasantries, starts to ask Miss Rivers about her material. And here is what happened.
Excuse me. Miss Rivers, Prime Minister Thatcher.
Oh, nice to know you. Hello.
Very nice to meet you.
My husband, Edgar Rosenberg.
How do you do?
Mrs. LaSalle, Mr. McMahon.
How do you do?
How do you do?
Mrs. McMahon.
Hello.
Mrs. LaSalle and Mr. Tebbutt.
How do you do? You do travel with a great many people.
Well, we're going to get
Yes, yes, dear.
Are you on vacation?
Well, not really. I've just been at one of the many conferences which take place. You know, this is the troubles and the problems of a prime minister, really. As you know, I've been with your President Reagan rather a lot. He is a charming man. Do you mind if we sit down? May I sit next to you? Because then I'm absolutely... May we do?
Yeah, sure.
I'm absolutely enchanted with everything because it's all so completely different from England. You know. But it is so nice to meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
And of course, in England, I have not had the opportunity to see you.
No,
I would like to. You see, I do feel that our sense of humor is vastly different from the American type of humor. Do you agree? I really do think so. I sometimes wonder, I have heard, you see, I have heard from some of my aides that you have difficulty understanding the English language sometimes. Someone said, I don't know which one of you, was it Beth? Someone said to me, you say something about, whenever you hear English people, they seem to be saying, what is it, fa, 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 fa.
Yes, that's one of my jokes.
Is this one of your lines?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I do that with Americans, too, so it's not just the English people.
It's fa, 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 fa. Yes.
Because the English upper-class accent is so beautiful.
I see. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Perfectly.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yes.
Do you find the American sense of humor is such that, how should I say it, that they do not mind being insulted? Do you find that kind of thing?
It depends. What do you think, Edgar?
Do you always ask your husband?
Yes, I do.
Yes. Indeed, you're just the same. I'm the same with my husband. But there is this point. You see, someone else on my entourage was explaining to me that you do like to, in your material, talk about our royal family.
A little bit.
Now,
Very little bit.
This
yes.
I find really rather difficult to accept.
Well, I talk about it, just so you understand.
Yeah.
I talk about
in
Americans.
a kind way,
well,
a nice way.
Well, yeah, well, in a humorous way. Yeah. What I say, and I speak about our own, I speak a lot about our own people. I mean, I do a lot on Nancy Reagan.
But the royal family, I gather some of the remarks, I believe, are very insulting.
No.
I do find this very difficult to understand, because as you know, our royal family, our queen particularly, is very, very highly thought of.
Oh, I should hope.
Do you find that you feel that feeling for her?
Well, I've never met her.
No. But these remarks that I must say I do find extremely insulting.
Well, I don't mean to be insulting. I'm surprised she's even heard about it.
Yes, oh, indeed.
It's just like a little joke.
Indeed. Well, I think possibly I would not have known, but someone told me amongst my entourage.
It's just that my husband's English, so I talk about her a little bit.
I see. You find this kind of thing goes down well with the Americans?
Oh, yes.
I see. Being rude about her.
Well, I'm not rude.
Well,
please, Mrs. Thatcher.
I'm not going to go back. But you see, I simply must stress, Miss Rivers, the relationships between Britain and America have always been
very
excellent.
No offense, but we helped you during the war a lot.
Indeed, I agree. But of course, that is absolutely so.
But I say it's very mild.
Yes, but I'm afraid some of the things I
It's not worth being obsessed.
Particularly about Princess Anne and Prince Charles.
Well, Princess Charles we all like a lot, and we're very happy.
Yes, you like him.
Oh, yes.
You like him.
And I hope it works out.
But you see, this is the kind of thing that really an artist of your standing, because I have heard a great deal about you, that really I am surprised that this kind of thing should take place and be seen on television. I find it deeply distressing. I can only talk about my feelings and the royal family's feelings. You see, to the Queen we owe allegiance.
Yes,
you must understand this.
I do.
But this is the point, Miss Rivers. I really can't state this too strongly. America and Britain are the strongest of allies.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And as you have nothing else to say to me, and as I feel so deeply about this, may I just give you this letter, which I think will clear up. I would like you to, please.
All right. Can I get your autograph?
I will be happy to do that, but I just feel...
Now, the letter she's handing Joan is from me.
As I happen to meet you now, simply must be clear...
Dear Joan, you've been had.
Oh, please. Oh, you're so good.
Well, the deed is done, and that was the culmination of our practical joke. Now, you probably got a question like I do. Did Joan know about it? How did she feel? Was she angry? What was going through her mind? All those things. Let's find out.
Dying, because it was the real thing.
You know, I really haven't talked to you about this since we did this.
No, and you feel like a fool. I mean, here's the Prime Minister of England. Oh, please, and she's sitting down next to me, and I know what I said about the royal family. Yes. And little did I know that she knew. I mean, and you start apologizing. Well, I don't really mean it. You know, and she just wouldn't let go.
She was good.
She was wonderful.
Did you have any idea it was the Prime Minister? Or it wasn't the Prime Minister?
When she tried to make the cameraman at one point. No, I had no idea.
That was the tip-off.
That was the tip. No, she walked in with the press.
Yeah.
And everybody in the aides, and sat down, and she looked right, and little things. I mean, like she was wearing stockings with leg warmers over them, which is, you know, that could be English,
we
too.
could have talked to her about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Margaret Thatcher's no beauty. I mean, you know, she shops in Moscow for her wardrobe. I mean, so this woman looked like Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah.
Little strange wig, you know. So I believe, and then you die of embarrassment because you suddenly representing your country.
Right.
You don't want to.
You tried to cop out a couple of times.
A couple of times?
Yes.
My whole life.
Yes.
Hey.
You didn't mean this.
Sure.
Didn't you say you'd never do it again?
Never. Never talk about them again. Listen, if they ever arrested me as a spy, I'd tell them everything. Oh, sure. I wasn't going to stand up for anything.
Now, let me ask you one question.
Yeah.
We've known each other for what? 16, 17 years?
17 years.
And in a way, I felt guilty doing this. But as I said before, I left the guilt because I knew it was going to be funny. Are you mad at me?
Let me ask you that. Okay. I owe my whole career to you. Well, come on. 17 years I'm on your show. I have such warmth and affection. Why should I be angry that you made me get up and get my hair done and drive an hour to the airport to have dinner with you and instead be made a fool of? Why should I feel angry?
Jeez, you're getting vicious.
Are you all right?
Oh, fine. We'll be back in a moment with Carl Reiner, Tim Conway, and some more practical jokes.
He's only 3, and already he's reaching out, seeking, and looking to you to point the way. Now is when a Texas Instruments home computer can give him a real head start. With more educational cartridges than any other computer, they challenge, encourage, make learning fun. The home computer from Texas Instruments. Don't put it off.
Can you imagine sneezing in one of these? I almost did. I'm Wally Schirra. When I suffered cold symptoms on my space mission, I took Actifed. And Actifed containing triprolidine gave me fast, effective relief. It's the nasal decongestant antihistamine tablet, most prescribed by doctors over the last 10 years for relief of nasal congestion, runny nose, and sneezing. Today, full-strength Actifed is available without a prescription. Actifed, most prescribed by doctors, now available without a prescription.
We'll be back in a moment with Carl Reiner, Tim Conway, and some more practical jokes.
Think, New England.
Couldn't you try to think of something besides sex?
It's another chance for romance.
Glad I could help you.
The Love Boat will make it a night to remember.
Nothing's happened to me.
With a dash of laughter and a dose of love.
Just what the doctor ordered.
The Love Boat, weekdays at 4, right here on TV4.
At Massachusetts Electric, we're concerned about how warm you'll be this winter. So we've arranged for an expert from Mass Save to give you an energy audit that tells you where your house needs buttoning up and how to keep costs down. If you're a Mass Electric customer and call for your energy audit by December 15th, we'll save you the $10 fee. This winter, we want you among our warmest customers.
I think I need an energy audit.
and a 2 and a 3.
You scoop, rock 'em and roll.
Full house.
You scoop, rock 'em and roll. My aces, Yahtzee!
Yahtzee, that dice-rolling strategy game you play like cards. Roll yourself a hand, then roll to make it better. Try to score high in every frame. Go for the bonus points and wild scoring jokers.
Yahtzee! You scoop, rock 'em and roll.
Yahtzee, Triple Yahtzee, and Word Yahtzee from Milton Bradley.
A visit to Lynn 2 years after the big fire. Details on Nightcast.
From its very beginning, the legitimate theaters had a history of practical jokes. After hundreds of performances of the same play, jokes helped to break the monotony. We've recreated for you some famous onstage jokes in this little scene.
Malvina, my dear. Please accept my deepest condolences.
James slipped Malvina a raw clam when he grabbed her hand.
Lionel is gone. I can't think what life will be like without him. He was always there.
Now she has to figure out how to get rid of it.
Better brother never lived.
Are we alone? There's something serious I must discuss with you.
Serious? Oh, well, what is it? James, you know you can be frank with me.
Now, while her back is turned to the audience, it's her time to get even.
Your brother was not quite the person you may have thought. It has come to my knowledge, since his untimely passing, Lionel met a man who
After many performances, actors get used to props being in certain positions. All you have to do to throw them off is move the prop.
What?
They practiced Eastern mysticism.
Mysticism? Oh, really, James? You can't expect me to believe that a pragmatic man like Lionel would have been involved in anything as ethereal as mysticism. Well, I was as close to him as a sister could be.
The telephone ringing is not part of the play. James arranged it with the stage manager as a joke. But Malvina manages to turn the joke on him.
Excuse me. Hello? It's for you.
Thank you. Hello? Yes, I'll get back to you later.
Well, as I was saying, Lionel could never keep a secret from me. Our relationship didn't allow it.
But you did keep our secret, didn't you?
Oh, yes. It was the only lie I ever...
Another favorite joke is chewing garlic just before the love scene.
Darling.
Yes, it pains me to think that although Lionel was my best friend, I could never tell him of my love for you.
Yes, it is indeed a pity.
Now, when a play has a drinking scene in it, it's a perfect opportunity for a joke.
Let me fix you a cocktail.
Yes, that would be wonderful, but it is time...
Here, Malvina adds alum, an astringent powder that causes lips to pucker.
All too easily could become a balm. All too soothing.
Here, drink it down, my dear.
Watch what happens.
Oh, poor Lionel. I hope he has found his final peace. Oh, I shall miss him so, but at least now we are free to pursue our love.
Yes, my love. Yes, my love. Our time has come at last.
On this program about practical jokes, I've invited a couple of very good friends of mine to tell some of the jokes I used to do as a kid and some of the classic jokes. Mr. Tim Conway and Mr. Carl Reiner. Fellas, thanks for being here.
I was going to say, didn't we spend a little time?
What were we talking about just a few minutes ago?
I was saying that that's the worst of the practical jokes.
Yeah,
they hardly ever worked.
It never worked.
Absolutely
Did it
right.
work on you?
Yes, it did. You know?
Did you ever make this phone call? Kids are probably still doing this today.
Hello, Mr. Wilson? You have Prince Albert in a can? Well, let him out.
We all did that.
Not too high class,
Yeah.
We did that
but you can have a
yes.
wonderful day doing things like
Yes.
Gary Owens used to be on the Laughing Show. Hello, this is that guy. He did a...
You did that very well.
Yeah, thank you very much. He did a guest shot on McHale's Navy, and they had an electrician who had this gag, and he was the epitome of subtlety because he never really went for it. He would come up behind you with a coat hanger that he had about this long, and he would tap you on top of the shoe. And it was just enough that you felt something, and by the time you looked down, naturally, he's gone. So he goes up behind Gary Owens, and he goes, and Gary goes,
nothing there. You don't know what that was. Now, he will do it 6 or 7 times before he'll even, you know, notice you. So he does it about the 5th time, and Gary goes, "Gee, and the guy says, what's wrong?" He said, "I don't know." He said, I feel something on my shoe. And the guy said, "What, can I see your shoe?" He said, "No." He does this, and he said, "Oh, you have the Brunswick cleat on there," and walks away. And Gary goes, "Excuse me, of what?" "You have the Brunswick cleat on the bottom of your shoe. Those are Neolite soles, I think." "Yeah," and doesn't say anything. And then it's like, what's he talking about? I have a Brunswick cleat on there. So finally I go up to the guy and say, "Excuse me, you mentioned I had the Brunswick thing on there?" He said, "Yeah." He said, what does that mean?" He said, "Well, we got thousands of volts running under these studios. And if you have a Brunswick cleat on your shoe," he said, "when you step on one of those wires, now you're probably stepping on a 110. They feel like something on top of your shoe?" He said, "Yeah." I never heard that. And he said, when I said, "That's it," he said, "Now try to be careful not to step on 1,000 watt because you really get a pretty good..." "You're kidding." He said, "Yeah." "Well, where are these?" He said, I think in this studio they run..." "Well, I don't know, I'm not sure." And he'll walk away again. Then you got to go, "Wait a minute, the 1,000 watter, where is that?" So he said, "I'll tell you what." He said, I can ground you if you want me to." "Oh, come on now." He said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, you see those oil trucks with a strap hanging down the back? That's for sparks in case lightning hits or anything." Now, I said, "If you got the Brunswick cleat, you want to be grounded, fine." So I said, "Okay." So now he cuts him a piece of chain about this long, I swear. So now Gary's got to carry this around. He's walking around with just long enough where you got to bend over and
keep it grounded.
Yeah. And he walked all day like this. He'd go into a scene and he'd hang on to it, you know, and he'd talk and do everything. He still kept his chain with him.
Many years ago in Central Park in New York, this is before the benches were all bolted down because people tend nowadays to take them. In those days, the benches just sat there. There was a fellow sitting in the park on a bench reading a paper, and he waited until a cop came by. And upon seeing the cop, he picked up the bench and started to leave the park. And the cop, you know, New York cop says, "Hey, put the bench down." I says, "I'm sorry, it's mine." Cop says, "What do you mean it's your bench?" Fellow says, "It's my bench." Cop says, "Put it down. You drunk or something?" Naturally, he takes the fellow and his bench, takes him to the judge in night court, where the fellow says, "I told the policeman that it was my bench," whereupon he produces a bill of sale from a carpenter who had built him the bench exactly to those specifications. He had taken it into the park when nobody was looking, sat on the bench, and waited just for that moment. There was one years ago, it happened here in Hollywood, at Ciro's.
Oh, that's
the
famous.
then famous nightclub on the Sunset Strip.
At that time, there was a princess, a prince of Saudi Arabia, crown prince, who was known to be very, very extravagant, spent money like lavishly like water. Some actor found out about the prince possibly coming to the United States. He dressed himself as the prince. He got himself a couple of actors to be his entourage, and he got the best table, a special table at Ciro's, and he had a tremendously lavish party going. He spent money very freely. He handed out tips very freely. And at the end of the evening, he was about to leave, and as he stood up, he had a bag of jewels that was very evident. It was a bag of jewels, which he gave little tips and favors for. The jewels fell to the floor, and there were thousands of them rolling all over the floor. And his entourage started to pick them up, and he stopped them. He said, "It is not dignified for us to pick up these jewels. Just let us go." And they walked out, and all the Hollywood luminaries, a lot of stars, producers, directors, all clamoring under the table, "That's my ruby, give me that, no, that's my pearl." Walked out, and everybody found the next day that they had paste.
All cut glass.
All cut glass.
That was in the 40s at Ciro's.
I wonder who the stars were. They said they were major stars. I wonder who they were. Greta Garbo wouldn't be on the table.
I cannot see Humphrey Bogart saying, "Give me that ruby." No. But maybe he did. Great stunt.
Well, I wasn't a major star, never have been, so I guess I really couldn't have been included on that one, yes.
I don't know about you. How do you feel about answering machines?
They're too impersonal. I'd rather have a person talking to me.
It's almost impossible when you get somebody's answering machine to even sound like a person. You start talking like the machine. "It's nice to talk with you," and for some reason. So here's what you do to get even. You pick up the phone. You wait for their answering machine. Now that you've got 20 seconds, you look at your watch. Timing is all important.
Yes.
Hello. Recording. Look, Sam, it's 3:30 right now. Yeah, I got a call from Fred the other night, and we were going to go out and have some dinner. I think there'll be Fred, Janet, myself, Ed, just a few people, and we want to ask you to meet us. Yeah, there's no special occasion or anything, so if you can make it, we'd love to have you there. It's just going to be a hell of a great night. We're going to meet at 7:30 at...
And just leave.
So, now, what does good old Sam do? He starts calling Fred and Janet. Of course, we're not going to answer their phone. I'm not going to answer my phone. And he's wondering where this wonderful occasion is taking place. You know, there's one standard practical joke that has a lot of variations. And that's substituting the size of something.
Oh, yes.
You know what I'm referring to?
Goldfish category.
Yeah, goldfish.
I don't know who it was, but this woman was very proud of her prize gold. I don't know how a goldfish becomes a prize goldfish, but it was a beautiful goldfish. She loved them. And somebody decided she was talking too much about the goldfish, so they decided to make it special. They stole the goldfish and put another goldfish of similar color, only a little larger, into the tank. And every day for about a week, they
would go to the
a
house.
little larger fish, until she had a fish that couldn't turn around in the tank. And she was telling her friends, I don't know, somebody's overfeeding them. Something's happened to the water or something. And she had no explanation for why the fish got so big. And I think then they started...
Would reverse the process.
Until they got a little tiny guppy in there, a gold guppy.
That's like the guy with the, he buys a Volkswagen, right? And his neighbor, and he's telling his neighbor, listen, you won't believe it.
This is when they first came out.
First time
everybody was so proud
of
it.
Mileage, you won't believe on these things. You know, I got a new car here. He says, I must be getting 30, 40 miles an hour. I'm kidding. You're kidding. No, I swear, right. Yeah, a gallon, 40 miles a gallon. So now the neighbor goes in at night and keeps filling up the tank. Now the guy's going, you won't believe this. I'm getting 85 miles to the gallon on this. He said, you're kidding. No, I said, I haven't been to a gas station in months. Really, this is unbelievable. Now it's up to, it's 110 miles a gallon. I'm telling you, believe me, have you ever seen me in a gas station? I've never gone in with this car. I put one tank of gas and I'm still driving this thing. Now the guy goes in at night and starts siphoning. Right? So now the guy goes back now to the dealer and goes, excuse me, something's wrong with this car. What? He says, I was getting 140 miles to the gallon. You know what I'm getting now? 4. I'm getting 4 miles. There's something wrong here. No, it's fine. That's the original equipment.
That's one of the great stories.
Yeah.
I think people would take the time to do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want to thank you both for being part of this program. This has been fun.
I enjoyed it.
Some of the great practical jokes are more fun to tell than they are to see them.
Is something going to blow up on this?
No, I have a feeling this whole room is just going to explode all of a sudden for finish.
Or else this isn't a show. We're just sitting here doing
That's right.
This is
just to kill your day. Thanks, guys, both of you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Carl.
Okay.
I'll be right back with more practical jokes, including the one played on me.
We're looking for great-fitting jeans. Try me Comfort Stretch. Great fit.
Great comfort.
Ty and Randy, all you have to do is look for that.
Lee Jeans, the brand that fits.
This commercial is dedicated to new Friskies. With the frisky new taste that has cats dancing in the aisles and jumping for joy. New Friskies have a friskier taste because it's baked right in. Give your cat new Friskies and you'll have a very satisfied cat.
Need any help?
Oh, the movers are here. I'm still packing. I have a headache, and I can't find the aspirin.
Take my Bufferin. Plain aspirin's smart, but it can upset your stomach. Taking Bufferin is smarter. It's a special kind of aspirin pain reliever. Look, some stomachs can be delicate, like this crystal, and plain aspirin can upset them. Bufferin gives aspirin relief, plus special buffers that help protect against stomach upset. How do you feel now?
A lot smarter.
Bufferin is smarter. Also an extra strength.
Who makes the best-built American cars? Based on National Highway Traffic Safety recall data over the last 2 years, Chrysler does. Because Chrysler had the lowest percent of recalls. And only Chrysler has the confidence to back the cars it builds for 5 years or 50,000 miles, with protection on the engine, powertrain, and against outer body rust-through. Based on recalls alone, Chrysler makes the best-built American cars. And with 550 protection, they're not only the best built, they're the best backed.
April the 1st, April Fool's Day, or All Fool's Day if you prefer, is the traditional day throughout the world on which people play practical jokes on one another. On April the 1st, 1956, the British Broadcasting Company played a practical joke, not on one person, but on the entire nation. They broadcast without any advance publicity the segment you were about to see. It was narrated by Great Britain's most respected newscaster, Richard Dimbleby, and millions of Great Britons believed every word of it. It isn't only in Britain
that spring this year has taken everyone by surprise. Here, in the Ticino, on the borders of Switzerland and Italy, the slopes overlooking Lake Lugano have already burst into flower, at least a fortnight earlier than usual. But what, you may ask, has the early and welcome arrival of bees and blossom to do with food? Well, it's simply that the past winter, one of the mildest in living memory, has had its effect in other ways as well. Most important of all, it's resulted in an exceptionally heavy spaghetti crop. The last 2 weeks of March are an anxious time for the spaghetti farmer. There's always the chance of a late frost, which, while not entirely ruining the crop, generally impairs the flavor and makes it difficult for him to obtain top prices in world markets. But now these dangers are over, and the spaghetti harvest goes forward. Spaghetti cultivation here in Switzerland is not, of course, carried out on anything like the tremendous scale of the Italian industry. Many of you, I'm sure, will have seen pictures of the vast spaghetti plantations in the Po Valley. For the Swiss, however, it tends to be more of a family affair. Another reason why this may be a bumper year lies in the virtual disappearance of the spaghetti weevil, the tiny creature whose depredations have caused much concern in the past. After picking, the spaghetti is laid out to dry in the warm alpine sun. Many people are often puzzled by the fact that spaghetti is produced at such uniform length. But this is the result of many years of patient endeavor by plant breeders who've succeeded in producing the perfect spaghetti. And now, the harvest is marked by a traditional meal. Toasts to the new crop are drunk in these poccolinos, and then the waiters enter bearing the ceremonial dish. And it is, of course, spaghetti, picked earlier in the day, dried in the sun, and so brought fresh from garden to table at the very peak of condition. For those who love this dish, there's nothing like real homegrown spaghetti.
Our next recreation of a practical joke is a perfect illustration that you need not be around for the payoff. Several years ago, a man requested in his will that a sealed box be taken from his closet and burned in the presence of his family and lawyer. They were not allowed to open it, so their imaginations ran wild.
Why did he do this to me? I bet there are secret love letters in there.
He always used to kid about taking it with him. Maybe he wasn't kidding.
I'll bet he was being blackmailed.
I wonder if it's some kind of photographs.
As the flames grew higher, they realized they'd never know the secret. What you see here are the preparations for a big practical joke on me. Since I started working on this special, I knew it was inevitable that the staff would play one. Let me explain what's going on. Basically, I'm a person who doesn't like fanfare. I like to come and go quietly. Also, I'm a person who gets teased a lot about my vacations. Now, keeping those things in mind, let's take a look at a little party thrown at NBC to welcome me back from a week off.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, here's Johnny. I get in here? Oh, come on now. No wonder you weren't in the office. Where do I go? There goes the budget for the show. Has the show been canceled? No. What? Oh. Hello, ladies. Whose idea was this? I was only off for a week. Hello, ladies. Where are you going?
Follow the camera crew. The reviewing stand.
What?
The reviewing stand.
What the hell is that? Oh, come on.
Johnny?
Yes?
Welcome to the world of practical jokes.
Oh, come on. I was suckered in. Everybody in the world knew about this, and me.
Johnny, as you know, you've got the program Practical Jokes. We just played a practical joke on you, and it's not finished yet. Some very exciting moments are coming up. Speakers will actually come up and say things.
Oh, sure.
Very briefly, however. First, I'd like to introduce John J. McMahon. John?
Oh, Johnny, welcome back from your vacation. And don't worry, it's only 4 days till the weekend.
Mr. Brandon Tarticle.
All of these people have been here since Monday, but you see, we forgot that you don't come in until Tuesday, but I promise you, if you start coming in on Mondays, you can have this every week.
It's gonna rain.
Johnny, if you'd like to say a few words, you may at this moment.
And if I'm elected president, this is very nice of you. We've been working on this special for about 2 months. And I knew something was going to happen. But I had no idea this was going to happen. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. Everybody in town knew about this except me. I don't know what to say. I'm absolutely speechless. Do you all work for NBC? This is very nice of you. I thank you all. It is starting to rain.
It hasn't finished yet.
What do you mean?
There's more.
Oh, come on.
Now, Johnny, it's starting to rain, and we don't want, as W.C. Fields might say, to get your little tootsies wet. So we have some of your staff members to escort you, your members, to escort you the last few feet. I'd like to introduce right now, if I may, Raoul, Litter, and the Bearers. Raoul, Litter, and the Bearers. Right here.
This is ridiculous. I'm supposed to get in this? Excuse me. This is ridiculous.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, there's Johnny.
Christmas you're not gonna miss, 'cause I'm gonna get you the Kodak disc. I'm gonna get you the Kodak disc, so you can take pictures as easy as this. Look at all the shots you're not gonna miss when I get you the Kodak disc. The Kodak disc camera loads in a snap, advances automatically, and has a built-in flash. Nothing's easier, nothing's more fun. That's why you're gonna get it. You'll remember Christmas just like this when I get you the Kodak disc.
For the first time in his life, he's struggling, having a hard time in math. He needs help. He can get that help with the home computer from Texas Instruments. It has more educational cartridges than any other computer. They challenge, encourage, make learning fun. The home computer from Texas Instruments. It can give your child a head start in school that could last a lifetime.
Tuesday, it's a 2-hour blowout for the A-team, and that means double the trouble. There would have been more, but somebody ate the script. 2 hours of the A-team. Then it's lullabies for Laura, now that she has a baby.
I don't believe it.
He's mine.
But who's the father? It couldn't be Remington Steele? Tuesday.
Be there.
This is a 1927 photograph of the Hollywood home of film writer and director Jack McDermott. His home became famous for a very special room. What McDermott liked to do was, when one of his guests drank too much and passed out, he'd put them to sleep in this room. And when they woke up, they had quite a shock. Here's what I think it must have been like to wake up in that room. Well, that's our show for tonight. Thanks and good night.
Be there for love, law, and laughter. TV4 is the place for great weekday afternoons. It's More Real People at 2:30 and Hawaii Five-0 at 3. Set sail for romance on the Love Boat at 4. Then Judge Wapner presides over the People's Court at 5. It's TV4's Afternoon Fleet. Weekdays starting at 2:30.
Thursday, Mickey dates a nerd. But what's the secret of his enormous sex appeal?
I don't know.
We got it made. And Cheers goes crazy as special guest Dick Cavett turns the bar upside down. Then Howard's exposed in a police corruption sting.
I failed you, Frank.
A tragic Hill Street Blues. Thursday.
Be there.
Date with Jack Williams. Good evening. Coming up at tonight's Eyewitness News Nightcast at 11, a shocking discovery tonight in the town of Beverly. The apparent murder of a young boy. Details are still sketchy. We'll have the latest at 11. In Florida, protesters are gathered in Tallahassee speaking out against tomorrow morning's scheduled execution of a convicted murderer from Massachusetts. The ban on video games will stand in the town of Marshfield. Now the question is how to get the games out of town. We'll report on tonight's town meeting. If at first you don't succeed, businessman Ray Shamey is trying again to make it to the U.S. Senate, and tonight his supporters are holding a fundraiser. Also coming up tonight at 11 o'clock, Joyceville Hayweek will review Richard Pryor's newest film. We'll have sports and, of course, the latest weather. Join Liz Walker and me tonight at 11 o'clock.
This Christmas, save a merry 20 to 60% on brand name gifts at TJ Maxx.
Get the Maxx for the minimum at TJ Maxx.
If I used an ordinary cream cheese, I'd hear about it.
We bagels would go on strike.
Not use Philly cream cheese?
We desert you.
Why pay so much for everything your recipes call for, then not use Philadelphia brand?
So don't blow it.
All your recipes deserve Philadelphia brand cream cheese. And that's not even counting the biggest investment of all, your time and effort.
I've been told by my mole.
Isn't it silly not to use Philly?
You know what you get when you combine Bill Blass washable designs with Woolite? Fashions that are easy to wear and easy to care for. I'm Bill Blass, and for me, Woolite's the way to help keep my washable designs looking beautiful. Woolite's so safe and gentle, helps keep that spatial fit, and doesn't fade lovely colors like these. So whether it's my washable designs or even someone else's, I trust Woolite, so can you.
This is WBZ, TV4, Boston.